Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. If you are a return subscriber or return visitor, if you are new, I hope you enjoyed this video. Today's video is a review. It is another review, but it's not about a review of a particular piece of equipment. It's a review about a planet. So a couple of weeks ago, I started reviewing different astronomical objects to inform you as to why you should take the time to observe it. So I already did Mercury, I already did Venus, and today's video is all about Mars. When you get that new telescope, why you should take the time to either observe Mars or take pictures of Mars. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so you're here to learn about Mars and why you should take the time to observe this wonderful planet. Before I get into that, I just want to provide some background information for those new to astronomy or astrophotography and just wondering why you should care about Mars anyway. Now, I know some of the information, but I want to make sure I say it correctly because I don't want to go off. I don't mind saying when I don't know something. Now I do know this information somewhat, but I want to make sure you know enough general information that you have some idea about the wonderful planet that is Mars. So I'm going to read some information off of Wikipedia, which I know is not the most accurate of sources, but generally, it allows you to get by. So let's begin. Mars is the fourth planet from the sun, which is true, and the second smallest planet in the solar system, being larger than only Mercury. That is also true. Because if you think about it, the majority of the planets are really big. Really big is putting it lightly. But they are really, really large. And Venus and the Earth are roughly around the same size, with Earth, I believe, is a bit larger. So that only leaves Mercury and Mars. And Mars is larger than Mercury. So that's also pretty accurate. Mars is a terrestrial planet, which is true. Though all the inner planets are terrestrial planets, and that basically means it's made of rock, with a thin atmosphere, with surface features such as impact craters, valleys, dunes, and polar ice caps. In fact, outside of Earth, Mars is the only planet which have such features. The days and seasons are comparable to those of Earth. Now you're wondering, how does Mars have seasons? Well, in I think the last video, a couple of videos on this channel, I go into one of the reasons that Earth has seasons is because of its rotation, and the fact that, once again, imagine the Earth like this, going around the sun, is rotating, and imagine this plug going up straight through the planet. Well, the Earth doesn't rotate like that. The Earth is tilted. And this tilted motion while it's rotating and its orbit around the sun primes the planet to have seasons. Mars is the same way. So the days and seasons are comparable to those of Earth because the rotation period, as well as the tilt of the rotational axis, which I've just shown, relative to the ecliptic plane, the ecliptic is basically the plane that all the planets rotate around the sun. That's known as the. When you look at the night sky, you know that if you find one planet and there's other planets in the sky, they'll be in the same arc. That's known as the ecliptic. That's the ecliptic plane. And they're similar. Mars is the site of Olympus Mons, which is the largest volcano and highest known mountain on any planet in the solar system. And Mars has two moons, Phobos and Deimos, which are small and irregularly shaped. Yes. The Mars moons, when you think of the moons, you think of Earth's moon. And as you get more into astronomy and you start going to Jupiter and Saturn, then you'll have moons that have atmospheres, have many distinct features that, to be honest, could go for planets. But they couldn't go for planets, but they have a lot of features that are similar to planets, as opposed to our moon, which doesn't have a very thin atmosphere. But Mars moons are very small and they're irregularly shaped. And I'm looking back at Wikipedia. Mars can be easily seen from Earth, which is, you can't see it from Earth. It's usually a red star. With the naked eye, as can its reddish coloring, the apparent magnitude reaches negative 2.94. Now, interesting tidbit. When it comes to magnitude, you would think that the brighter the object, the higher the value. But in astronomy, it's the exact opposite. The lower the value, the brighter the object. Now, Mars's brightness it depends on where it is in its own orbit. So it can be really bright, it can be really dim. And Jupiter's the same way. Jupiter can be really bright or really dim. The only objects that seem not to go by that standard is, well, at least to the fact of impacting its brightness from Earth as it relates to you looking at it, is Venus, the Sun, and the Moon. Those are the three brightest objects in the night sky. And that's not going to change. But Mars, it can fluctuate. But regardless of where it is, if it's in the night sky at that particular time, you can be able to see it. Optical ground-based telescopes are typically limited to resolving features about 300 kilometers across when Earth and Mars are close because of Earth's atmosphere. Basically, what that means is, depending on where Mars is in the night sky, impacts your ability to be able to see it. Now, the main reason, or how you'll be able to see it, the main reason that Mars is such an interesting planet to observe and why you should take the time to observe it, and I can show pictures that I was able to take of Mars, is think about it. Just think about it for this, and think about all the planets. What is something that many of them have in common? Well, 4 of them are gas giants with thick atmospheres. So you can see the atmosphere, but you really can't see anything past that. Now, think about Venus. Venus is not a gas giant, but it has an out of control greenhouse effect. And therefore, you can only see the atmosphere. Now, you're thinking about Mercury. Oh yeah, Mercury has an atmosphere, but it's not an out of control greenhouse effect, or it's not a gas giant. And therefore, you can see the surface of Mercury if you look at the pictures from NASA. Well, from Earth, that's a bit difficult because think about it like this. The reason you can see the moon is because the moon reflects sunlight. Now, imagine being Mercury. It's much smaller, much closer to the sun, and therefore when you try to observe Mercury, you cannot see its surface features. It's it gives a yellowish image, or it's a yellowish sphere as it relates as when you look at it. So you can't see anything. That leaves Mars. Mars, out of all the planets, allows you to be able to see its surface features. You can see valleys. You can see craters if you have the right type of telescope. You can see the polar ice caps. You can see the polar ice caps either become larger, become smaller, depending on when you're observing them. You can see the surface features change over time. And that's the amazing thing about Mars. Mars is the only planet that allows you to see the surface and actually see the surface change. And well, I'm not going to say change over time. I said that previously, but it's changed over time. But you can see the surface change. If there's a sandstorm, you can see that. If it's going through winter, you can see the polar ice caps can become larger. You can see the valleys. You might be able to see craters. Some people have been able to take really, really close, good images of Mars from Earth. You can see an outline of those depending on the telescope that you have. But it's the one planet that allows you to actually see the surface because the atmosphere is very thin, but it still has weather. It still has seasons, and you can see the change in Mars as it goes through weather changes or as it goes through seasonal changes. And that is the only planet that allows you to do that. None of the other planets allow you to actually see the surface. Mars allows you to actually see the surface of it, and you'll be able to see that. Well, obviously, if you look at pictures of NASA, but other astrophotographers and their images of Mars and my images of Mars at the end of this video all show surface features, and that really is a treat. That really gives you or show you actually seeing another world and the surface of another world, because none of the other planets allows you to do that. You name the planet, you will not be able to see the surface using your own equipment. Mars allows you to do that. And so, if nothing else, I know it's not Saturn with the rings or Jupiter with its size and being able to see the Galilean moons, or Venus and its brightness, or Mercury and able to see them going through phases. But Mars allows you to see the surface and see the changes that can happen while weather is impacting is going across the planet or as it goes through different seasons. That is amazing, and that is the main reason why you should take the time and observe Mars. And now I'm going to show you some of the images I've taken on Mars. And after that, I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you again.